Hey, how's it going, everybody? I'm the Muzzle from the Muzzle Mastering. I'm doing a follow-up stream here to my one from earlier. Like my OBS is. Oh, there we go. Okay. So, my name is David Pixley, the Muzzle from the Muzzle Mastering, and I'll be streaming stuff about my mastering techniques. This light is bad. I apologize that how bad it is. Maybe if I put this over here. Yeah, that's even worse. Okay. I'll just have to do it like that, something like that. Alright, I'm not going to be using the camera too much anyway, so what I did earlier was, well, before I stopped streaming, I had screwed up my dynamic EQ, so I came here and fixed it. I'll just show you what I did real fast. Let's turn off all of this. So basically, turn off all of this. Basically, this dynamic EQ here has a mid-side shaping, and I'll play it for you real fast. This doesn't have everything else active. I want to show you what it's doing. First of all, it's off during the intro, and then turns on. Here, I'm not allowed to stream all of his songs, so I think right about here to there is good. So on the mids, I did some ducking of the sub area at the band shelf. You see it kick in there. And then I did some ducking around here. Actually, that might be doing too much there, but and some ducking here and there to tame the hi-hats a little bit. I might adjust that later. It looks like it's kind of doing it too often. It's being activated too often. But then here, let's just play this part over and over. So yeah, this is what it's doing on the sides. So if I turn these off, so this here is a shelf, and it's doing a lot of stuff there. Then band 2 is this sharp boost that I tend to do. Band 3 is that. That should actually probably maybe do a little less. So I'll probably adjust that a little more. Maybe less gain going on there. And band 3, this is, oh, that was band 3, was that one. And band 4, this is ducking it at 211 hertz. And band 5, this is a band shelf that ducks it around the 1 to 2K area. Again, this is just the sides. I know this is doing a lot. And then band 6 just kind of smooths this out a little bit, because without it, I noticed that it was like too much. So it just helps to smooth out this curve from here to there. I actually think that this band 4 here needs a sharper Q. So I'll try 1.99. Let's try 2.23. That looks a little better. So I am probably going to make a little bit of adjustments here because it's ducking too much from like 300 to 600. Maybe this 6 can be closer to 244. Or let's try 256. This one can be doing less. Go minus 8.1. That's a little better. Could probably turn this one off. I think this band 1 could go lower. Let's make it 68. So I've spent a lot of time trying to get this stupid thing perfect, and it just behaves differently every section of the song, and I might choose to not do this anymore, but looks like band 5 needs to kick in more often. Yeah, band 1 closer to 56. Band 4 could be doing more. And I think this band 6, I'm actually going to, oh, I have this as an expander. Well, duh. Okay, yeah, because I had been doing a boost here. Go 0.81. And we'll make it kind of balance this out a little bit. And then band 4 can be less narrow. And it can be doing more. I kind of like that. Let's make this 11.11. So obviously there's a lot going on here that probably could be doing a lot less. I really need to perfect this. So anyway, I'll probably tweak this some more until I get it to where it's just perfect, and it's just so hard to get it to where it's, oops. Oh, so band 1 is ducking, band 2 is expanding, so when this ducks, this expands. Band 3 also expands, maybe a little too much. Sometimes it's too much and sometimes it's too little. It also has an offset of negative, so when nothing is hitting the threshold, it's at a minus. So obviously I could spend forever trying to tweak that, but I thought it sounded good when I rendered it. So I'll stop playing around with this. Oh, and by the way, I'm not sure how well you can hear my mic when the system audio is playing. Oh, can you even hear the system audio? Oh shit. I apologize. Y'all could not hear the song. Well, at least you could hear my voice. I have to turn the ASIO drivers off in Ableton, which I am doing presently. Then you'll be able to hear the song. That might be good. So that was doing a lot, and I might ditch that entire side shaping thing that happened with the dynamic EQ. But another thing I did after I ended my stream from earlier was slapped on this tube vinyl. Oh no, yeah, tube vinyl. I brought up the sides high pass filter, so that's ducking there as well. And this Air Windows stuff sounds so pristine. And then the high limit is just barely kicking in, because this is going to be going to vinyl. But for the digital mastering, it's got some groove wear to make it sound like it's being played back on vinyl, just a little bit similar. And when I do the vinyl mastering, I'll basically just turn the groove wear off, leave that how it is, and then the vinyl company will take care of how much they're going to compress the highs, because that's what the vinyl pressing companies do, one of the things. So I'll go ahead and move on to the next stage. Did I do anything more? I think that was about it. Oh, I think I'm not sure if this works very well or not, but I just slapped on this capacitor plugin before all my saturation. So these are all like tube type saturations except for spiral. True Iron is a tube emulator, and then the saturation knob from SoftTube. One thing that would be worth trying, I used to use this Mog EQ instead of the Kush Clariphonic, but Clariphonic kind of sounds better. So There was another exciter that I wanted to try out, but I'll look for that later. Here's a tape bus from Voxingo. I haven't tried that yet. Could sound great. Oh, this Waves Factory. I haven't used this Spectra very much. It's an additive EQ, and then it lets you, when you add the EQ, and you can add different shapes, then it lets you add a different type of exciter to only the audio that's being added. So whatever you add, then you can add excitement to it, and that's pretty neat. But I'm not too sure exactly how great it sounds. I haven't seen a ton of engineers talking about it, so that I did not use. I did not use the Ozone 8 exciter because I'm trying to rule that out of my chain. It's been my go-to exciter, and another one that I've gone to for a long time has been, see, it's in the bridged, is the Sunox Oxford Inflator. It could work on this song, but I didn't try it. And so now I'm moving on to the maximizer stage. And so all this is off. So I had my EQ, dynamic EQ, then it went to another dynamic EQ, etc. So I've done all the coloring and everything so far. So my maximizer thing is usually 3 Ozone 8 maximizers, and this AD clip kind of replaced Kazrock K clip recently because of the CPU issues that I've been having. And my clipper stage either goes after the first maximizer or after the second. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and start with the first maximizer. Always turn true peak on. Actually, I did save a preset, which is where? This is what the mastering assistant in Ozone recommended. And this character is so fast that will be my last maximizer. My first maximizer is generally as slow of a character as I can get it. I always make the ceiling a little bit less than 0. And in this case, I'm going to leave it on modern. And we'll see how this sounds. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and make this 11.11. And I'm going to do not much limiting here. Actually, let's go minus 3.7 and know that the peak, we'll see what the peaks are coming in. I only want to do about 1 dB of gain reduction with my first limiter. My clipper usually is about 1 to 1.5 dB of clipping. With Kazrog, I have more experience and I usually leave it on hard clipping. I did study this AD clip a bit, but I don't remember a lot about the soften and enhance. So I don't think this is really meant to be a hard clipper, but but we'll try it out on this track. It sounds good on everything that I've put it on so far. I don't know how much oversampling it does. And that's one reason why I wanted to stick with Kazrock K-Clip 3, because it does 32 oversampling, which really takes care of any intersample peaks or artifacts that happen. Well, not the intersample peaks, but the artifacts that happen. It takes care of that. So if anybody has any questions, go ahead and ask, and I'll check the. Actually, right now would be a good time for me to check if there's any questions in the live chat. So if you have any questions, now would be a good time. About anything, mastering or mastering in general. That was me earlier on Twitch for comments. It looks like I don't have any viewers. I might have a viewer, but I'm not sure. Oh. I am streaming. Oh, here's Spacey Blur. He says, what is your favorite well, to keep this X-rated, I'll go ahead and say I don't know if it's that the way that he would expect me to. Favorite way to text me about. Not sure if I want to comment on that, but I will say that I'll occasionally play some stuff on soundcloud.com/spacyblur, and then that's when I will master. Bait. Bait. So I'm not sure if you watched earlier, Spacey, but basically my EQ here on Ozone, if it'll load, takes a minute, bear with me. I basically looked at what the mastering assistant suggested, and then I got rid of all the additive stuff, and then I did 10% of what they suggested on the low shelf. They suggested like 10 times this amount of cut, but Gene wants that preserved for this track. I switched it to digital. I usually always do that, especially for the subtractive stuff. And then on the sides, I just put a high pass brick wall at 89 hertz. And then my first dynamic EQ was based off of what the mastering assistant suggested. I lower all the settings. I make the threshold, for example, here I made the threshold from, like, it suggested like -30 something, I made it to where it's just barely kicking in, and then I made the gain do less gain reduction, and I made it less narrow. I did that with all of these. This one here, they didn't suggest I put that in because usually just after 1K it needs something to cut every once in a while. They suggested a shelving cut here. I made it offset so that it's boosting whenever the signal is not going over the threshold. That adds air to everything, but especially the highs. But then since it's ducking, it's tamed with a 0 attack. So the transients aren't coming through too harsh. And then this little trick here I used to do with static EQ up around 20 kilohertz. Somewhere between 19 and 20 kilohertz. Huge offset, and then it ducks again with 0 attack. Sometimes I make these release things in the BPM of the song, or like so it's within the BPM of the song, but usually Ozone suggests good numbers wherever you put your stuff. So it's basically ducking down, and it comes down close to 0 when something is loud in the highs. And so that was my first dynamic EQ. Then I added another dynamic EQ, which doesn't turn on until the body of the song. It's not on during the intro. And this one does some mid-side shaping, which is something that I'm probably going to adjust and render again. But if I play the track for you, you'll see what it does here. And then there's a band shelf duck here. So this cuts drastically. This boosts narrow drastically. This boosts fairly drastically. And I didn't really get it to be perfect. There's a cut here. And then there's a little boost here to help smooth it out, because these cuts were too much along with these cuts. So I'll play it and you'll see it how drastic this is. Oh, actually, this happened earlier where it stopped showing me what was going on in the dynamic EQ. I'm not sure if it's just a CPU issue or, oh, duh, it's because this is off. So here we go. So I apologize for the audio glitches there, but you see what it's doing there. And then, so that went into desk from Air Windows. I recommend in your mixes, all your mixes, use this desk before any compression or EQ and after. I recommend using the Console 5 plugin from Air Windows or any console emulator before everything on your channels, and then again on the bus. I try putting that console emulator on my master chains a lot. Sometimes it does a little bit of magic. So desk, and then I added this capacitor. This is not something that somebody would probably suggest doing, but somehow it adds a little bit of goodness right before the tube emulation. So I had true iron. Oh, I turned that off before I rendered, damn it. I am going to have to render again. So I basically did a -6 dB cut before it goes into my tube saturation, and then spiral 2 saturation is a digital. It's digital. It's not based on the Fibonacci sequence, by the way. It's based on an actual spiral. And then that goes into saturation knob with just 1%, 0.1 setting. That usually always works, and it pretty much never hurts. Into desk again, and then I raised the dB back up 6 dB. I could put another desk. I probably should have not, or I should have put that after my tape. And then that goes into bit shift gain again, a -dB cut into from tape. I dialed in these settings, and I lowered the dry wet to 18%, into 2 tape with 13% wet. I dialed in these settings. I left softer and fatter alone. I left softer and weight alone on this. The flutter is at 0.12. I don't recommend going over 0.15 for mastering the flutter, but that helps make the hi-hats sound a little more human, a little more analog-y. Then I raised the gain back up 6 dB, and then that went into Cush Clariphonic EQ. Additive EQ. Sounds great, sounds very musical. Barely anything going on there. The boosts start around 3K, and then this high shelf boost is at around 39K. Boosting silence helps. Don't ask me how. Don't call me stupid if you're another mastering engineer, because I've had plenty of that. They're always like, no, you don't do that. That's wrong. Anyway, enough of that. And then I did my stereo imager. Oh, actually, that came in this later chain. Oh no, that was there. So I dropped the bass down, and I lowered these a little bit, and I raised the highs for the stereo image. Track is falling out of phase a little bit in the intro, but that's fine. And then that was it. Oh, actually, it went to 2 vinyl after the Cush Clariphonic EQ. 2 vinyl sounds great. The side high pass is set to 37, just to make sure those lows are a little more mono. And the high limit was set to where I could just, once I started to hear it stepping on the hi-hats, then I lowered it a little more. The groove wear is set to 0.079. That helps it sound like it's being played back on a vinyl. So when I send the vinyl mastering, I'll turn the groove wear down to 0. And then that was it. So what I'll do now is actually, and I was playing from the rendered audio from before, and then I had that dynamic EQ on the master, so I should have played this here when I was showing you that dynamic EQ. But anyway, I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna check questions again. Okay, no questions on Twitch. Let me check the YouTube. Let's see here. For some reason, when I try to check the channel on YouTube, I'm not sure if I'm seeing the comments or not. If anybody has any questions about mastering or my mastering rack, comma, please leave a comment, period. So, again, also, if my microphone sounds bad, please let me know, because I'm still kind of dialing in the settings. This noise gate is the big issue right here. Because, like, you know, I don't want you to hear when I tap the space bar. But anyway, oh, another thing, somebody on the forums asked me earlier if this was possible, and I verified that it is. This is Blue Cat's patchwork on my OBS, and just to find out if it worked or not, I loaded up Air Windows plugin, and boom, and it gives you this nice little interface. Air Windows and Blue Cats worked together to make sure this is all perfect. The Air Windows plugins inside of Ableton, like the sliders are like crap. Like even if I hold shift and click, like, yeah, it goes up 0.03 per stage, but those knobs you can do more finer tuning with. But to minimize CPU usage, I chose to not use Blue Cats in my Ableton, but I'm gonna deactivate. Oh, yeah, I'm gonna deactivate that. Okay, and I'll deactivate the camera so that I get more CPU going on. What? So I am back. Apologize for that. OBS crashed. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next stage of mastering this track. Normally I would play the whole track, but for Gene's album, there's only a 1 minute snippet that he leaked. And I just saw that Air Windows released Channel 6 plugin. I'm very interested, very much interested in this one. Channel 6. I thought it was going to be Console 6. So Channel 6. Anybody got any questions? Spacey still here? So I'll go ahead and check out this Channel 6 later. It looks like I can't even load the website. I'm going to close my browser here in a minute. I want to see if Spacey is still with us. Oh, he's online, but he's not viewing. Okay, that's cool. I mean, I know he's got stuff going on too. So I'm going to go ahead and close my browser now. It looks like I'm not getting any comments. We just check YouTube and make sure we didn't get any comments. If Spacey is still with us. No comments. Okay. Without further ado, I think I'll go ahead and shut up for a while and just start to work. I'm going to mute my mic for a bit. So I noticed that there's a huge difference between this track and this my first rendering. I think I screwed this up. It either has to do with that monoizing of the bass, or the 2 vinyl plugin has a high pass going on. So I'm going to adjust that. And I think that I'll probably get rid of that side ducking with the dynamic EQ, or at least make it to where it's doing less. But for now, I'll just go ahead and show you what I will do with these maximizers with the track that doesn't contain all the stuff that I've done so far. What I could do here, do this. We'll put that on it. And I will put this on it. This way it's closer to what I've done so far. I think for CPU I'm going to have to turn off the tube emulator. I'm going to turn off one of these desks. Everything else should be fine. I'm going to go ahead and deactivate this shelving cut here. Obviously there's a lot of information going on. Actually, the only thing I'm going to deactivate is mono cut here. I might have to turn off this dynamic EQ here. I'll leave it on and see if it starts to kill the CPU or not. So there, I've dialed in my first maximizer. It's doing it at the most 1 dB of gain reduction on the left and less on the right. We'll push this a little more. I have the character set to as slow as I possibly could get it. A little bit slower, and it started to sound not so great. So that is dialed in. Next I'll move on to my clipper. Let's see what it sounds like with as much clipping as I can possibly get. That sounds pretty dang good just with the AD clipper, and I haven't even used the soften and enhance yet. I'll show you those real fast. So I believe soften makes the highs be processed differently so that they're coming through a little better. Enhance affects the bass. Listen to that difference. That sounds pretty darn good with just AD clip, but I usually only do about a dB of gain reduction with my clipper. And it was pushing it over 0 on the true peak loudness meter. So I'm going to do 23 is Gene's favorite number, I believe, so I'll put it there. And then my next maximizer. I'm going to turn these two things off because now the CPU is going to go up. I might add some transient enhancement on the first maximizer. I probably will, because since it's slow, I want the transients to really come through that one. So the transient emphasis usually either happens on my first or last maximizer. I use 2 to 3. I'm currently not looking at the Twitch chat because Spacey left, but I will check in a few. So don't leave any comments right now, but later I will entertain questions. I'm curious as to where we are in the loudness area now. To my ears, that sounds good. Minus 9.6. This is the time where I would play the entire track and see what this LUFS reads, the integrated LUFS. But let's play just like this whole section and see what happens. So I made that first maximizer a little bit faster because there was too much bass coming through. I can see that this is clipping coming out of 80 clip. So I'm going to lower the boost. What I could do is turn this to this middle mode, which makes it towards the same loudness. That way it's cutting off the peaks without being louder. I'm going to adjust these later because I have to redo my first rendering anyway, so I'll just go ahead and start to go towards my last maximizer. Show you what I usually do with that. I got about 3 dB of gain reduction going on with this middle speed character. And I will turn on the transient emphasis on one of these maximizers, probably, but it eats up CPU, so for the live stream I won't. And that's where the CPU starts to go bad. So I'll turn off Insight. But for this song, based on his mixes, his mix is at minus 19.3 LUFS integrated. Compared to other songs on the album, it's one of the loudest mixes sent me. So the mastered track should be around probably minus 11.3 or minus 11.1. And I won't be able to dial that in until I play the whole track and look at this. So let's just see if it sounds good with this last maximizer. I might have to slow it down a bit. And yes, so there you hear where my CPU makes that little crackling noise. And so this is where my live stream, well, let's see if it doesn't crackle when Insight is off. So yeah, I'm gonna have to adjust all these because I am going to do that thing with the dynamic EQ to duck the sides. I did duck the sides with this, but somehow that stereo part of the bass still gets through. I ducked it with the, oh, it looks like that's not on here. The 2 vinyl is not on here. And that's kind of an essential part of it. I think I'm going to go ahead and through the maximizers. Do that more the cutting of the side bass, then obviously it's all going to be a lot differently. So if there's any questions, now is the time. None on YouTube. Looks like there's no viewers on Twitch, so I'm going to go ahead and end the stream now. I am David Pixley, the Muzzle, from the Muzzle Mastering. Now for digital mastering service, $30 per track. You can find me on facebook.com/themuzzlemastering. Muzzle is spelled this way, and then mastering. So, see you guys next time.